All right, Patriots, brace yourselves. We're about to dive into a story so twisted, so shrouded in mystery, it'll make your head spin. This isn't just a crime. It's a labyrinth of lies, political warfare, and a murder that's been weaponized to tear this country apart. The victim? Seth Rich, a 27-year-old DNC staffer gunned down in the dead of night on the streets of Washington, D.C. The official story? A botched robbery. But the truth? Oh, it's darker than you can imagine. Conspiracies, cover-ups, and a web of intrigue that reaches into the highest levels of power. On July 10, 2016, the quiet streets of Washington, D.C. were shattered by gunfire. Seth Rich, a young, idealistic data analyst for the Democratic National Committee, was shot twice in the back just blocks from his home. The police called it a botched robbery. Nothing stolen, no witnesses, no arrests. But in the fevered political climate of the 2016 election, Rich's murder became something far more sinister, a lightning rod for conspiracy theories that would grip the nation. Was Seth Rich the whistleblower who leaked DNC emails to WikiLeaks, exposing the party's dirty laundry? Was he silenced to protect the powerful? Or was his death a tragic, random crime spun into a web of lies by those with agendas to push? The truth remains buried, but the questions linger. Questions that strike at the heart of trust in our institutions, our media, and our democracy. This is the story of a murder that became a myth, a tragedy twisted into a political weapon. It's a tale of shadowy figures, leaked emails, and a family's desperate search for justice. And it all starts on a dark street in D.C. where a young man's life was cut short. To understand the storm that erupted after Seth Rich's death, we need to rewind to the summer of 2016, a time when America was locked in a brutal election battle. Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump were slugging it out, but behind the scenes, the Democratic National Committee was in chaos. Leaked emails published by WikiLeaks revealed the DNC's favoritism for Clinton over Bernie Sanders, sparking outrage and cries of a rigged primary. The leaks were explosive, and the hunt for the source was on. Enter Seth Rich, a 27-year-old Nebraskan who'd moved to D.C. to make a difference. By day, he was a data analyst for the DNC, crunching numbers to boost voter turnout. By night, he was a regular guy, passionate about politics, known for his panda costumes at parties, and loved by his friends. But in the eyes of conspiracy theorists, Rich was more than that. They claimed he was the insider who'd leaked those damning emails to WikiLeaks, fed up with the corruption he saw. The political climate was already a tinderbox. Russian hackers were accused of meddling in the election, and the DNC leaks were Exhibit A, but some refused to believe it was foreign actors. Enter the Seth Rich theory. If Rich was the leaker, his murder could be a political hit, not a random crime. The timing was too perfect. The leaks dropped just days after his death. And then, Julian Assange, the shadowy founder of WikiLeaks, threw fuel on the fire. In a cryptic interview, he hinted at Rich's involvement, offering a $20,000 reward for information on the murder. Assange never confirmed Rich as a source, but the damage was done. The conspiracy was born. Washington, D.C. in 2016 was a city of whispers and power plays. The stakes were sky high, and trust in institutions was crumbling. Rich's murder, set against this backdrop, was the perfect storm for speculation. But was there any truth to the theories? Or was this just a tragic case of a young man in the wrong place at the wrong time? The crime unfolds. Let's set the scene. It's July 10th, 2016. 4:20 a.m., Seth Rich is walking home after a night out, talking to his girlfriend on the phone. He's just blocks from his apartment in the Bloomingdale neighborhood when shots ring out. 2 bullets hit him in the back. He collapses, and by the time police arrive, he's gone. The street is eerily quiet. No witnesses, no surveillance footage, no clear motive. His wallet, watch, and phone are untouched. A robbery gone wrong? Maybe, but the details don't add up. Within days, the internet explodes. On Reddit, 4chan, and Twitter, users connect the dots. Rich worked for the DNC. The DNC was hacked. WikiLeaks published the emails, and now Rich is dead. The theory spreads like wildfire. Rich was the leaker, and someone wanted him silenced. Fox News picks it up, with Sean Hannity leading the charge. He claims Rich was assassinated to cover up the truth. The story goes mainstream, and suddenly, Rich's murder is a political bombshell. But here's where it gets murky. Julian Assange, in a Dutch TV interview, says WikiLeaks never reveals its sources, but he offers that $20,000 reward, saying, "Our sources take risks." Was he hinting at Rich? Assange's ambiguity fuels the fire, and conspiracy theorists pounce. Meanwhile, the DNC and Rich's family push back, calling the theories baseless and hurtful. But the narrative is out of control. Then there's the Russian angle. U.S. intelligence agencies say the DNC hack was the work of Russian operatives, part of a broader effort to meddle in the election. The Mueller report later confirms this, but for some, it's too convenient. Why blame Russia when there's a dead insider who could have been the source? The theory spiral. Was Rich killed by foreign agents to frame the DNC? Or was it a domestic hit to protect Clinton's campaign? The truth remains elusive, but the questions keep piling up. The investigation into Seth Rich's murder was a mess from the start. The Metropolitan Police Department, MPD, treated it as a routine homicide, but the case quickly became anything but routine. With no witnesses and no suspects, detectives were stumped. The FBI got involved due to Rich's DNC ties, but their role was limited and they found no evidence of a political motive. Still, the conspiracy machine churned on. Enter Rod Wheeler, a private investigator hired by Rich's family. In 2017, Wheeler claimed he had evidence linking Rich to WikiLeaks, but his story fell apart under scrutiny. He later admitted he'd been fed false information, possibly by sources with political agendas. The MPD, meanwhile, faced accusations of withholding evidence, with some claiming the department was pressured to downplay the case. Was there a cover-up? The truth is murky, but the lack of transparency only fueled suspicion. The media played a starring role in the chaos. Fox News ran with the conspiracy angle, dedicating hours to the story. Sean Hannity, in particular, pushed the narrative hard, even after Rich's family begged him to stop. On the other side, outlets like The Washington Post and CNN debunked the theories, citing the lack of evidence. The divide was stark. Conservative media saw a scandal, while mainstream outlets saw a tragedy exploited for clicks. The political stakes were enormous. Rich's death became a rallying cry for those who distrusted the DNC and the media. It tapped into broader fears about election integrity, government overreach, and the power of the deep state. But for Rich's family, it was a nightmare. They filed a $250 million lawsuit against Fox News in 2018, accusing the network of spreading lies that caused emotional distress. The suit was settled in 2020, but the damage was done. The case had become a weapon in the culture wars, and the truth was collateral damage. Nearly a decade later, Seth Rich's murder remains unsolved. The MPD still offers a $25,000 reward for information, but the trail has gone cold. Rich's parents, Joel and Mary, have fought tirelessly for justice, but they've also fought against the conspiracy theories that turned their son's death into a political football. In interviews, they've pleaded for privacy and respect, but the internet's memory is long and the theories persist. The legacy of the Seth Rich case is a cautionary tale. It shows how quickly a tragedy can be hijacked by those with agendas, how media polarization can distort the truth, and how easily speculation can spiral into myth. In the age of social media, where narratives spread faster than facts, Rich's story is a stark reminder of the power and danger of unchecked information. But it's also a story about the cost of conspiracy. For every wild theory about Rich being the WikiLeaks source, there's a family grieving a son, a brother, a friend. The political intrigue may be tantalizing, but at its core, this is a human story, one of loss, exploitation, and a search for answers that may never come. Today, the Seth Rich case is a symbol of the deep divides in American society. It's a flashpoint in debates about election integrity, media bias, and the role of technology in shaping public perception. And it raises a haunting question. In a world where truth is so easily twisted, can we ever really know what happened? The murder of Seth Rich is more than a crime. It's a mirror reflecting the fractured state of our nation. It shows how easily a tragedy can be weaponized, how the search for truth can be drowned out by the noise of agendas and ideologies. Nearly a decade later, the questions remain. Was Seth Rich's death a random act of violence? or something more? And what does it say about our society that we're still debating it? This story isn't over. It's a reminder that in the halls of power, secrets have a way of staying buried, but not forever. What do you think? Should the case be reopened? Comment and hit the like button.